Welcome back, ladies, gentlemen, and everybody else, to the Leagues.gg Winter Showdown. I'm still Darkside, still joined by Rail. Now, Rail, we have to discuss what happened in that last game and what that will do to affect the drafts going forward, or the draft going forward, I should say. Because it really felt like as if Darkside kind of forgot that the Shen was there. You know?
Yeah. I think that's the simplest way to put it, because there were so many fights where, like, okay, we've got the flank here. Oh, shit. Channel, guys.
Guys, did you know there's a Shen in this game?
Channel.
What did he get here?
Abort mission run.
Especially then he does like flash taunts you, you're like, oh, I'm dead.
It was especially that top lane play where there was like, okay, we're turning onto Xin Zhao. We're turning onto Xin Zhao. But Shen'll comes through, Orianna's already TP'd behind, and we're like, oh, we're in trouble, boys. Like, there's no way for us to go, we're in trouble.
They couldn't even cancel the Shen'll as well.
Yeah, that's one of the big points of this. Like, there's nothing to cancel Shen'll at all. You can't follow it, you can't cancel it. No CC for it. So Shen just kind of had a lot of freedom in top lane. Didn't get killed either, so he just went even in lane. Also, to add to that, just Jarvan didn't have as much agency as the Orianna.
Yeah.
Orianna
wasn't even punishing him that heavily in lane, which I thought was surprising.
Yeah, Jarvan was even in CS for the most part until Orianna just kept going bot lane with Xin Zhao and just created that gank squad. Finri just looked like a different player on Xin Zhao and created so many issues. Both Assassin junglers this series have just came off a fail. 0-2 on Assassin junglers right now.
We'll see if they decide to go towards another Assassin jungler on the red side, because Lundqvist, Darkside have opted in for going on the red side, which last two games they have opted in for, the losing team have opted in for blue side, but we got the Shen ban and the insta-lock of Jinx.
Yep, things have been flipped around, and you know what? Floop says I can play Draven too, and brings it out against the Draven main of Lonar. Jinx has been mostly banned in this series, and instead they just said Shen was too much for us. We couldn't deal with it, we forgot about it, and everything's being changed around this game. We have Jungle J on the Xin Zhao, but things really have been flipped around. What's Finri's answer? I want to see Trundle, personally, but Viego also works quite well. Graves is banned, never mind. Still no Graves. I mean, not a surprise.
Yeah,
literally still an S tier champion, so.
So if they lock in their jungle, and they do, it's a Lee Sin.
You know what? Respectable. Respectable is aggressive.
If he can get the insects. We need to see the insects land. Otherwise, it's just... I don't know.
Is the insects or the Mortyman kicks? Like, if you can get Mortyman kicks.
I thought you came up with a new name for some, like, Morty Man. I was like, what the hell is Morty Man? Multi-man kicks, yeah, definitely, yeah.
They're
really crucial to a good league.
They're taking a page out of Darkside's book. Says, you know what? About that Braum, which was the Fog of War genius. We're gonna take away that one from you and just protect this Jinx with this Braum. Also, is quite decent backup for the Lee Sin. On top of that, can jump to him and assist with any long distance fights. But Invulnerables right now, they have a very good hyper carry. They need to round it out with some pressure in the mid lane. Orianna's probably going to get banned away from him by Darkside. I feel like that should be the next ban because Orianna fits so nicely here again. It would be shocking if it didn't.
Yeah, just waiting for the last couple of bans. But Darkside might keep it up, hoping that they can pick it themselves. Although I'd kind of accept maybe a counter pick left last for Darkside. But what do you counter pick into an Orianna matchup?
There's not a lot. Simply put, Orianna's still Orianna. She's captain consistent. She's just very safe. There's very little you can go wrong when picking this champion. She does everything what you need, and it's just sums up Orianna. I feel like Darkside take it away, otherwise Invulnerables take it. Ryze isn't too bad. You lose some of the pressure in the early, because Orianna just naturally will have more pressure than you. But Ryze will scale to just being a monster, so that might be on the cards, but you will sacrifice a little bit of lane pressure.
That's the second time that I've noticed the Janna hover there, and that's gotta be a proxy pick, right? Reed?
I'm waiting for production before.
Janna's Vex makes much more sense.
Okay, that is terrifying. When Vex is played correctly, there's no limits on what this champion can do. The hardest part about this champion is managing that passive.
Yeah, the doom and gloom.
I even experimented with her myself because I didn't fully understand how it works. It's like, can you save it? Does it just get used? You can't save it. You have to use it because if you want to clear waves, you have to use it, unfortunately. And unfortunately, that means Invulnerables get Orianna, just as we presumed.
Yeah, that's... I'm gonna keep my eye on that mid lane because Loftician loves his control mages, and the fact that we saw the Orianna a couple of times already really makes that one to watch, in my opinion. And
yeah, and not only that is when we did see that Orianna, it was into a matchup which had a lot of pressure on its shoulders that Jarvan could have set up easy for ganks in the mid lane, and Loftician played it perfectly, absolutely perfectly. Sure, they didn't dominate on CS as much as you would want them to, but they got enough pressure for their jungle to do whatever they wanted, then just follow their jungle around. Nothing stopping them doing that again.
Yeah, it's exactly what we want to see from them. We want them to play that playstyle because it's what seems to work for them, because the jungle is kind of their point of pressure from what we've seen.
This time around, though, I think Inno wants revenge because, so quickly, the top lane matchup for Invulnerables, they're playing Ornn on top side. There's no Morgana. It is an Ornn versus a Gwen. Gwen fairly fine in that matchup. She doesn't really have much issues. Ornn's early game damage is still something you have to be a little bit careful for.
Yeah.
But Gwen later on will be able to just pretty much pressure him out of lane most of the time, be a constant nuisance, and is a very big nuisance for the likes of the Jinx. Jinx not being able to target the Gwen in the Hallowed Mist makes it even harder for her to deal with. Sort of something you have to keep in the back of your mind. It's a little bit like the Akali syndrome again, of where you have to be like, where's Gwen? Do I see them? Do I need to be more safe?
What?
Like, yeah. That's literally it. It's like
she's lurking in the bush.
do I see her? Is she here? Where's she gone?
The hidden Gwen is the deadliest.
I still stick by the Braum for that statement.
Yeah, that's... But I haven't seen a Gwen in a while, at least in competitive. We see her every now and then in solo queue, especially kind of higher elo solo queue. Was there any change to her recently that kind of made her a little bit more viable or less viable? Or is it just because of the Ornn that we're really seeing her in this matchup?
I've actually seen her a fair bit recently. Lethal Tempo works very well on her. Very easy to abuse for her. She already gets extended attack range anyway from her E. Extend that even more with Lethal Tempo. Speaks for itself. Items are very easy to build for her as well. On top of that, Riftmaker, easy. Gnash of Tooth, easy. Cosmic Drive, easy. All very simple items to build. So even if you get behind on Gwen, her comeback potential is through the roof. And it is partly because the Ornn pick is a free pick into any tank matchup. But at the same point, she is in a decent state where you can pick her up. It's just not one you're going to blind pick as much as you used to.
Yeah. No, I 100% agree with everything you're saying there. And I like the Gwen in this sort of, number one, in the matchup, but also the team composition. Although I feel like they might be tending a little bit too much towards magic damage. But they do have the Xin Zhao and the Draven to provide a decent amount of AD anyway, so it balances out to a certain degree. It's just with the tankiness of the Braum and the Ornn that it does worry me just a tiny little bit. The Ornn items, of course, it is just one item per champion now, because it is just on those mythic items. It was always one item per allied champion, but it's one item for him as well.
Yeah, I remember when you used to get 2 items on Ornn, and that's pretty disgusting as it was. You'd get like at least 3k gold value just from them 2 items, and you'd be sat there like, oh, let me just gain another 300 HP because I can, you know, just chilling.
You no longer have the problem of, oh, which item should I put in which slot so that Ornn will get the right item upgraded. It's just the one.
Very true. If Vex can be played correctly, it will buy so much freedom in this fight. any team fight, Vex will buy so much freedom where you have to be like, we have to shut down Vex. We can't let Vex get the angle to get to the back line. If Vex gets resets, people forget this champion will get refreshes on the ultimate, which means they can dash again and again and again, which is just going to be a constant.
You get an ultimate, and you get an ultimate, and you get an ultimate.
That's basically it. And that's the part where I'm waiting to see if it turns out. Because if Vex is played correctly, that will buy Gwen freedom. If that buys Gwen freedom, Gwen finds her way to Jinx. And we're already spelled out like you want to be protecting this Jinx as much as possible.
Yeah, she has to get that free fire. She has to get that get excited passive off for the additional maneuverability. And when you're trying to get through the Xin Zhao, which has the spell shield, pretty much in that ultimate just blocks all that projectile damage. You have the Hallowed Mist from the Gwen as well. It's just gonna be so difficult to try and execute these team fights and actually get the damage down as the Jinx.
I do like that Draven's coming for the cleanse here as well. Lulu, one of the supports what can pick up a heal for free for you. It's not really an issue for them. They go into the resolve tree, so they get revitalized for you, which again, very, very nice to buff that. Just, I think Invulnerables have the easier team comp to pull off. It's very simple. There's not really much issue with it. You have a very simple team fight to pull off. You have an early game jungler, which still has decent pressure late game, just because of the way items have turned out, which that is one of the biggest things I praise since they're adding of like items like Gold Drinkers, Divine Sundra, all these items, right? These champions won't fall off late game as much. You talk about Renekton, you talk about Lee Sin, you talk about Xin Zhao even in that same boat. Just don't fall off as hard as they used to, which was a nice change, and I feel like it's one of the best things Riot deserve credit for.
Yeah, it was massive. I remember when they announced all the new items and all the changes, I was like, oh, come on. I do not want to have to learn all of these items, what they do, their names, you know, all that stuff that you need for casting, and even for playing the game. And in the end, even though we all got through it, we all now know pretty much all of them off by heart. But definitely a much needed change to refresh the game. And the champions.
I actually wonder what side you're leaning towards this game, because I'm a little bit on the fence. I would say that I am leaning towards Invulnerables because of the easy execution. I think that's why I'm more leaning towards their side, but there's so many like what ifs for Darkside, and that's what's playing in the back of my mind.
You see, right, what's playing in my mind is what if to do with the junglers. So it's all about the jungle impact to this game for me, because I feel like top lane should go in favor of Inno. Mid lane, it's probably gonna be where the junglers are gonna be focusing mostly, and then bot lane, it really depends on how the supports play the lane. If you can get a nice Winter Spite onto the Lulu and then get a little bit of damage with the Jinx, or if you can get a nice slow with the Lulu onto the Jinx, then you can get a lot of damage down. So it really depends on these small little things to really how this game actually plays out, in my head at least.
And the best part about what you brought up is we've seen both sides of each jungler. We've seen Finry have a good game, we've seen Finry have a bad game. We've seen Jungler J have a good game, we've seen Jungler J have a bad game. And funny enough, both are on Assassins. No more Assassins anymore. They've both just gone to more bruisery champions. So let's see which side of each jungler shows up, because it's like what's happened, we've seen day and night performances.
Time to flip the coin.
Yep.
Do you call heads or do you call tails? Either way, it's going to be an interesting game.
It is indeed. I'm gonna say heads, and lean towards Invulnerables. But
do I have a coin around here somewhere? I don't. I actually would flip a coin if I had one.
No, I wish I had one as well. Reed, do you have a coin, producer?
Reed, flip a coin for us. Aww.
Badge.
EU production. But we are on to the rift for our final game in this best of 3. It is basically a best of 1 at this point of Invulnerables versus LDS. Which team will come out on top and which team will be knocked out?
Yeah, this is all or nothing for both teams. This is last chance saloon. Last game available, pretty much. And do have lethal tempo Jinx. Very, very strong on current meta. Literally, like we said, one of the best go-to AD carries right now. Draven has the Conqueror. Not the Halo Blades, interesting.
We saw Conqueror the last couple of games, I think, that we saw Draven in. Actually, Draven in all 3 of our games today.
I guess I tunneled on that one then, because didn't actually notice the Conqueror. Haven't seen Conqueror so much on AD carries since the nerf, but probably will start to get picked up when it gets buffed. It's going up to 5 seconds instead of 4, so will actually be decent. Talking of nerfs, Camille is getting nerfed, but it's not really going to impact her too much. So you're still going to see Camille, sadly, people.
you love that she's getting nerfed, but you hate that it's not getting nerfed enough. I remember you either said to me or like you tweeted saying, yes, Camille's getting nerfed. And you're like, no, she's not getting nerfed enough.
Yeah, that's basically it. I'm even a top laner. I even play Camille. And I was just so bored of playing her anymore at this point because she's been that strong for so long.
But you know, she's interesting to watch. That's what. Not fun to play against, but definitely interesting to watch. It's a lot of damage being traded back and forth in the middle lane, and even though they did get the level 1 push on the bottom lane in favor of Invulnerables, the pressure now going in favor of Kralex and Flutes.
Yep. Rightfully so. The Draven will assert decent early game pressure. Talking about early game pressure, see that Gwen trying to assert a little bit. Doesn't actually start the Doran's Blade on Gwen. Actually went for the Doran's Shield this time around, which a lot of the time you'll see the Doran's Blade to go to AD because a lot of people will take magic resist against Gwen, and it's a little bit of like a Kennen cheese strat sort of thing.
I like that. I like that there's that little bit of a nuance to the lane, you know?
Yeah, it's the most irritating thing, I can't even lie. It's when you see a champion with his AP and you're like, yeah, I'm gonna take MR here, and then it's like, why are they doing so much damage? You check their item, they have a Doran's Blade, you're like, for God's sake.
But that, I mean, she does auto attack quite a lot, so you know, I like that there is that little bit of
There's that early Doran's Blade.
Yeah, I like the early Doran's Blade.
I do too, and this is really sneaky.
Yep. But the traps go down. The teleport is being challenged from both sides, actually, as First Blood will definitely be garnered here for one of these teams. Rainbow in a lot of trouble. Sonic Wave into the Resonating Strike will find First Blood, but Lee Sin, he has to flash the hell out of there to try and get away. But that's 2 kills going up to the side of Invulnerables. Can they find anything back? The answer is no. A double kill for the Orianna as Kralex has to head for the hills. The Unbreakable will save the life of Zimbabwe Import. As Kralex, he's so low, but will manage to just about get out alive.
A minion actually takes down Lonar, just getting a faster recall, you know, doesn't actually drop a kill to anyone, it's an execute, so absolutely huge play from Invulnerables. The TPs were instant. The Ornn got his off before the Gwen and actually had some decent impact off there. Ornn maybe overextended a little bit. Could lose his flash here.
Yeah, just a little bit overextended, but I think he should be fine as the wind becomes lightning comes through, and as you said, we'll use that flash just to get away.
You know the funniest part about that whole play, what just happened, is when the TPs came from Gwen and Orianna, they both just ignored each other. They just walked side by side and was like, nope, go straight to the boys. Not gonna have any interaction with you. Fortunately, Gwen didn't.
They were hungry. They just want the kills. That's all. They don't want to fight each other. They're bro lane, you know.
Yeah, I mean fair. And Gwen didn't have the fear available. So, not Gwen. Vex didn't have the fear available.
Since when does Gwen have fear?
Could you imagine?
That was a rework I didn't notice.
I'm glad loads of champions don't have fear and silence as much as they used to.
I mean, now they all just have tons of ability haste and lifesteal and 3-hit passives and, you know, all that.
Oh, 3-hit passes will never leave the game. Any new champion is like, oh, they're gonna have extra on hit damage, extra magic damage, some true damage in there, you know? They have to
ultimate that reset.
They have to make them broken and appealing somehow. How else do we do this?
I make a champion that isn't broken? What? Who would do that? What monster would do that?
Yeah, I remember how long it took people to find out how broken Ivan was. Just because no one wanted to play him. Like, for a lot of people...
He's not a fun champion.
For a lot of people, he was like one of the most uninteresting champions ever released. I completely like zoned out when he got released, but I think everyone did. And then all of a sudden people are seeing, wait, Ivan has a nearly 60% win rate. What is going on?
Nerf plus.
But yeah, Daisy was the second summoner at that point. It was like you had 6 people on your team and you was like, what is this?
And then the knock up from Daisy as well. You're like, oh, what? It's like Tibbers, but better.
Yep, and talking of but better, Orianna lost chapter already, 2-0-1. Even CS, but not even gold, unfortunately. Orianna being a part of all 3 of them kills. And already is moving down to the bot lane again, following the jungler. Like last game.
But they're gonna go on to Rainbow instead, gonna get the kick back for the easy execute. Captain Careful will just have to watch on as his jungler just dies.
Yeah, unfortunately, not a lot they can do. They got the fair off in Orianna, but Lee Sin already has all the damage down onto the Xin Zhao. Xin Zhao got absolutely obliterated.
Just looks like they've woken up somehow. You know, like the first game, like, no, that was our first game of the day. We're just gonna take our time, just chill out, and you know, slowly wake up. And now they're 4-0, 2,000 gold ahead at 8 minutes in.
Yeah, and talking of zoning out, Xin Zhao was level 4 when that all happened. He's not even close to level 5 actually. I was gonna say he probably hits level 5 off that, but it doesn't. So he's so far behind on this Lee Sin. Whereas Lee Sin's probably fast approaching level 7.
Gotta be. Yep.
So Lee Sin literally 1 camp from level 7. We just got told by a producer. Lee Sin is so far ahead right now, which is just gonna make him practically the assassin for his team. The execute damage from Lee Sin is always massive, and people always forget the Q does part of missing health damage, which everyone just sort of like seemed to just zone out and forget because we didn't see Lee Sin for like half a season it was. And then he sort of came back towards the end because they kept buffing him.
It's because he's interesting to watch. That's why. You have the insect and everything, so you know. People love watching Lee Sin.
I'm not gonna lie, he's like one of the most fun champions to watch for me. Like him, Viego, Seth is up there. And obviously Aurelia.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you didn't say Aurelia, you've obviously been taken over by like a Terminator or something.
I
it's like
just
the scene in the phone booth where it's like, yeah, your parents are dead.
True. It wouldn't be me if I didn't say Aurelia.
But look at that CS gap in bot and in top.
I was about to say that. I was gonna say, but we have a repeat of the CS difference. But it didn't mean anything in game 1. So we need to see it mean something in game 2 because last game Flukes got ahead massively on CS, but end up losing the game, end up being 0-3, and didn't really have much to do in terms of impact. Talking of much of impact, Rainbow slowly trying to crawl his way back in. Is level 6 now. Does have that lethal tempo, not the Halo Blade, so won't get that fast knock-up off, unlike what Finry was doing last game.
Marcus, I just thought of something. Cheese strap. Maybe Rainbow is just trying to play for the objective bounties.
Maybe, but there's only 2k gold just now.
Trying to save him. His team isn't helping him by having a CS lead. They're not following the strat.
Kind of falls back to what we said last game though. Since I'm still a low econ jungler, doesn't need too much to be able to work. Lee Sin, meanwhile, has Orianna available.
Rainbow onto Loftician, gonna get the knockup, forcing the flash out of Loftician to try and get away. Finry also uses his flash to get out. The support is being channeled. It is the Gwen. Let's go port her way towards this bottom side. Still 2 minutes until the objective spawns, so they'll just use that 3 summoners for nothing really.
And we get a sort of nod to Rainbow because that was really well played, just to stay in that bush, let Lee Sin drift by and just catch that Orianna, which indirectly just blew 2 summoners. Just because he stopped that play, just because he didn't reveal early and just said, I'm waiting for Orianna to get melee range, waited for it, used the E, made Orianna flash over the wall, which just completely deterred this play, which has been happening all of game 2 and attempting game 3.
And it gives a breath of life or a little bit of a hope to LDS in this game. The fact that you can do that, you have the confidence, you have the ability to temper your aggression like that, so that you bide your time and go for it when you know the time is right.
Yeah, that deserves so much praise. When you see plays like this, it's always nice to see, and a lot of the time undervalued. And just from there alone, we've seen the value.
But it did only burn 2 flashes and a teleport. Didn't get you any tangible lead. As Lee Sin is once again towards the bottom side, literally camping LDS's bottom lane as the Glacial Fisher comes out with miss. Will not manage to tag onto either member of the bottom side there.
Doesn't hit the desired target. Lee Sin's still here. Hasn't left yet. Zinzao is arriving. Vex is arriving. TPs are available.
Good unbreakable there just to block. Now the rest of the team will come in. Sonic Wave Resonating Strike is available as the teleport is being channeled. Rainboy has to get out as Orianna is feared, and Loftian will pick up his killing spree kill. Floops has no mana, but the shutdown is still going to go over to the Vex. Floops will fall. Chaos Senpai picking up that kill. And Captain careful, the rest of the team just crumbles. Lonar picking up a double for himself, just the Gwen alive.
8 and 1 off that. Invulnerables clean wiped that fight. Soon as Zinzao went in, it was at this moment he knew there was no escape. There was no going out. You could not get out. Seeing them TPs channeled, it was doomsday.
It actually looked like they might have gotten some kills and won the fight, but Vex was the only one to grab anything.
And that's the only kill of the game for them. Literally the only kill of the game. Zinzao still really struggling in this game. Gwen kind of loses some of her lead by actually... Wait, actually Gwen was the only one not reacting, my bad. I was going to say, Gwen actually loses some of her lead, but she does not. She actually worked on some of the plates in the top lane. So our eyes are literally on Captain Careful and Inno to see if they can recover this game, but it's not an easy one to recover. There is some bounties available on champions, but right now they are at a stage where they have to sit back a little bit, they have to give up a little bit, probably going to have to give the next dragon for free.
Yeah, but, you know, it is just a Cloud Drake, so sacking the first 2 Drakes is A-okay usually, and we have seen it in the last couple of games where I think it was at least the first game where they did sack the first 2 Drakes and then ended up still getting the soul, so, you know, it's definitely doable and definitely comebackable. It's a 3,000 gold lead, almost 4,000 gold lead now in favor of Invulnerables, and Chaos Senpai will just manage to get away. We'll use that Audacious Charge, sorry, we'll use that Bell's Breath and E-Charge just to get to the Blast Plant and make his way out.
Gwen still just trying to farm towards her items as well. Gwen very much online when she gets to a 2-item power spike, but not even out of the first one just yet. Has no kill involvement, just only CS and a few bit of plates, but plates have fallen off. And there's that free dragon we talked about.
That means that we have a Mountain Soul for this game. Even more terrain gonna pop up as we see it spread across the rift. The mountains rise. Blue buff will be stolen away from the looks of it. This Kralix, yep, that's a lot of damage from the Orianna 3, 1, and 5. I believe Ume-Ezeoke finished off. Luton's Tempest, actually, it's called now.
The worst part is, usually this is the soul you can give up in a lot of games and be like, okay, this is fine. But when there's a game with an Ornn and a Braum, this soul becomes that much more scary.
It does indeed. It means that we're playing for that as a win condition, as well as just the fact that they're so monstrously ahead right now. 5,000 gold. We're not even 20 minutes in. You still have the Ornn items to upgrade later on. So it's just very much, it feels like an uphill battle isn't a strong enough phrase to how difficult this game is going to be for Darkside.
Yeah, I mean, if Invulnerables get that soul, Vex could jump in and get a 5-man fear, and it would not matter. It would not matter at all. Like, your follow-up damage in this game isn't too easy to pull off. Talking of easy to pull off, this isn't too easy to pull off either, but...
Just gonna try and kill the wave. Yeah, doesn't do enough, but it is Krellix that is taking the tower shots for now, and now it's Inno! Oh, just about surviving thanks to the heal and the ultimate there from Krellix. On the other side, they will use that Rift Herald to take down top.
Quite interested to why he went for the wave, actually, because wave or not, I still think they go for the dive.
Yeah, he got Lulu. Or he could have gotten Lulu, who was taking tower shots at the time.
I feel like he'd aim it for damage there, but unfortunately, he went down, but they get a reply. They get loads of value off this Rift Herald and
get 2 towers.
Tower. Yeah.
It doesn't matter that you got a tower and bounty.
Tier 2's worth so much gold, and
oh, don't tell
32k gold to 26k. Yeah, almost got a third dash, and just that would have been insane value.
I was just like, Rainbow, hit it, please. But they got it. It's all right. Inno has the first item completed now as well, so you're hitting those first item power spikes, but you have Lonar on 2 items, 1.5 item for Chaos Senpai, and building towards a second item for Finri as well.
And talking of first items, we have a first time objective bounties. It's in the game. We actually see it.
Nice. And it was claimed, actually. Inno claimed one already.
Yep, they claimed one, but still available on other towers as well. That top lane tower, very low. So, gonna be an easy one to pick up if they just commit for that one.
Yep, it's just gonna be Orianna to respond to this push as well. I have to assume that the Lulu is around, even if we don't have the vision of her, but now we'll spot her out thanks to the minion wave vision. Xin Zhao is gonna be around this top side as well. They're just gonna commit to taking the tower. And Tempest just trying to clear some of the wave. This bounty will be claimed. And it goes over into the pocket of the Lulu and Draven.
Yeah, now just short of a 5k gold lead for Invulnerables. Still decent state. They've completely have the map wide open to their heart's desire. Pretty much no top lane towers to be seen other than the ones in inhibitors. Vex can't clear waves good enough just now. Actually struggling a little bit with that.
Yep, Whirling Death will pass through, but Braum goes unbreakable. We'll just back away, wait until the wave pushes in so they can go for another attempt at the siege in the mid lane. Dragon
in 50 seconds should again be fairly free for Invulnerables, but after that point, Darkside will have to start contesting. It's going to get harder and harder. If we quickly take a look at individual gold, see Draven is a little bit lacking, but actually the furthest on his team, whereas the Jinx is nearly at 9k gold earned, and the Lee Sin, look at that jungle gap right now, it's quite big. Could be called a canyon.
I like that, because there's a Lee Sin in the game. But there's a teleport into the mid lane that is Inno. Will be untargetable thanks to that hallowed mist, but the Draven is now the target. The shockwave is only onto one. Will burst him down. The healing will do a lot, but not enough as the double kill comes through. You're the ones who decided to teleport into the mid to display a double kill for Finri, as I think they will get this tower and the Drake.
It's a shame there was no channel bets right now, because I would be cashing in pretty well. Did kind of bank on this comp to be so easy to pull off, and there we see it again and again and again and again. It's just working so simple for them. The worst part about this entire game for Darkside is you could read this from draft alone. They're going straight bot lane again. Exactly what happened last game. They're going bot lane again. Draven 0-3. He's not been able to cash in a single time. So like all that passive stacks he is gaining means absolutely nothing. This Draven has had no value in this game and hasn't been able to do anything. Meanwhile, Jinx is just having all the freedom in the world.
2 items as well. That Kraken Slayer with the Runa and Hurricane. Just putting so much work in these skirmishes and these fights. Now on Soul Point, we'll have that fight again in 4 minutes time. That's if Invulnerables don't just end the game by then.
Yeah, honestly, next fight could end the game for Invulnerables. That's how much pressure they have on the map. How many towers they've already cracked as well. It's actually disgusting. There's just inhib towers left. Literally only inhib towers. That's so much value in terms of just playing map pressure.
They're doing a desperate Baron, but you're versus an Orianna. She has Shockwave. It's being challenged to Shockwave onto 2. It is massive for Invulnerables. The Orin Horn is called as well. Gets knocked up onto 2. But Inno will be cut down in the 1v1 versus Chaos Senpai. He was too low to try and beat the Orin. Rainboy, he's now over the wall. He has to flash. He has to audacious charge, I should say, to try and get away. But Loftition has too much damage. The ultimate from Zimbabwe Import finds one. He'll manage to get the slow onto Floops as well. As Unleashed, Finry is definitely unleashed. And they get the Baron as well, the ace.
They commit for the Baron, they go for the desperation play. They knew they don't have much left to play with on their plate. But then the Orianna getting that massive shockwave into the Ornn, giving them the little bit of security, a little bit of the backup. Just perfect to dissuade them and just clean that fight. Don't drop a single kill. And to be honest, we're barely even troubled.
I'm perplexed. I am shocked. I am at a loss for words as to why you start off a Baron versus Orianna when they are that ahead, and now they're 10,000 gold in the lead, almost 11,000 gold in the lead. After a disappointing game 1 from Invulnerables, to win the second one in a back and forth fashion to this clinic of a game from Invulnerables, definitely their day has gone from bad to really good. Really showing us what they're made of.
And see, this is what's beautiful about League of Legends, right? Like, you can win one game, and that could have been the best of one series, right? So then people would have been like, okay, Darkside are just better than Invulnerables. But because it's the best of 3, we get to see the flip side. We get to see how Invulnerables adapt in game 2, how they adapt in game 3, and it's just completely different each game.
It is indeed, and that's why we love League of Legends and hate it at the same time, because, you know, it's League. You know, we'll be invulnerable from all those spells being thrown out, but we'll get the kick of Rainbow back into the team as the Super Mega Death Rocket comes flying on through. Doesn't quite have enough damage to kill Floops. Doesn't get him low enough for it to execute him, but the Orianna will find one. Finry looking for even more, has the backup of the Braum, slowly making his way up as Rainbow goes in. Sidewave, Resonate Strike trying to follow up, but Rainbow will give up his life just to get his AD carry out.
Just getting worse. Cheeky little bit of DM. Just Chaos having a little bit of fun.
Don't do him like that.
Didn't have fun game 1, but game 2 and 3 has really been a force to be reckoned with, and they're just pressuring all towers at once, and there's no one to stop them. They don't have the pressure to clear these Baron minions, they don't have the pressure to clear the waves, and they're just slowly ushering them in bit by bit. They're going to be able to crack the bot tower in a second and work on that one as well. 2 inhibitors will be taken.
What can you do when you're 13,000 gold behind? You're versus a Baron, a power push. Look at Floops' health bar. They're going to try and go in with the Vex ultimate. They're onto Lunar. They will manage to pick him up, but can you win the team fight in the end? So far, the answer seems to be a no as Chaos Senpai picks one off. It will follow by Finry getting his legendary 10th kill with that double. They're underneath the Nexus Towers. Floops trying his best, but he only has 1.5 items. Even with this Draven, he will manage to pick one off. They're onto the Nexus Towers. It is do or die for LDS right now. And Floops, he cannot seem to have enough in the tank to try and defend his Nexus. That will be it. Invulnerables, again, after a disappointing game 1, strike back in game 2 and show they are the best of these two teams in game 3, going 23-4.
Utter dominance from Invulnerables that game. There's no other word to describe it because it was just completely different to even game 2. Game 2 they won, right? But this is game 3 where they smashed. Like,
destroyed them.
Didn't even give them a chance, gave them no breathing room, did exactly the same strats they did in game 2, just pulled it off even better, to be honest. And that TP play, that was game deciding. The double TP coming through, winning that early bot lane fight, just absolutely won them the game.
If I am not mistaken, Marcus, we didn't even get to a point where anyone else except the Ornn had an Ornn item. They were just too far ahead. They didn't need the Ornn items.
You could like literally have any other tank in the top lane and you just still probably win this game with how they played, because Orianna got multiple man shockwaves again and again. Finry had an absolute amazing game with the Lee Sin, constantly pressuring the Zinzao. Which again, it just falls back to, this wasn't Finry from game 1. This wasn't Finry from game 2. This was even better from game 2, to be honest. And it's hard to choose an MVP when you're looking at Finry and Zimbabwe, because Zimbabwe in that game was 0-0-18 till the very end, and they were everywhere. They weren't always bot. They were roaming. They were everywhere on the map, and it was the same for Finry.
And I remember saying it at the start of the day, at the top of the broadcast, that Finry loves to play really aggressively. Finry likes to play proactively, and they like to play around Lonar in the bottom lane. And when we saw them doing that, playing aggressively, 1, and 2, playing around Lonar in the bottom lane, focusing him, playing him as strong side. They do that, and what a performance it was.
Yeah. There's really not much
There's
else
nothing
to say.
else to say about it. It's just
honestly,
super strong.
Just overall, they played better and better each game, and game 3 was just the big standout game for me, and just showed how much they can adapt in a series. Like we talked about it, if it was best of 1, you might have considered Darkside better, and then they just came out and said, you know what, Assassin didn't work, let's just go back to basics. We'll still play Draven, but we'll go back to basics. And they forced a Shen ban because they played Shen so well.
I think the Shen was 7-2, something like that. So yeah, the Shen was a worthy ban, and since they pretty much forgot that the Shen was in the game, I think it's probably better to take him away from the enemy team, because, you know, if we get the champions there and you go for a 1v1, then you're just gonna straight up die. But that means that with the best of 3 being over, also congratulations to Invulnerables on that best of 3 win. You move forward now, and we will find out very, very soon who they will be playing against, as we have Alpha Pack Esports playing up against Voss Esports in another best of 3 shortly, to see who will go forward and play against Invulnerables. Thank you so much for watching this best of 3. It's been a delight to cast this for you alongside Rail. Thank you very much, Rail. And to you, Mr. Reed, for producing once more. So we will see you very soon for the next best of 3 to decide who goes